Welcome to another episode of ROI BizTalk with your host, Jonathan Lack, and I am Paul Siegel, your moderator. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about AI and find out some of Jonathan's thoughts about how it is a useful tool when managing operations and what he sees ahead of it for the future. You spend most of your time inside real estate agencies as a fractional COO. When agents ask you about AI, what kind of questions do they have for you, and what kind of advice are you finding yourself giving folks?
Well, what I'm finding is that there's a lot of hype out there, a lot of seminars, webinars, real estate conferences, or people talking about how you can use AI to improve your practice with a gazillion different AI tools. And what happens, I think, with a lot of people is there's so much they don't know where to start and they get psyched out. Um, and I have myself this summer dedicated myself to learning as much as I can on how to leverage Claude. I've been using ChatGPT. Uh, I'm going to say 2 years. I don't want to say more than that because I'm not sure how long it's been out. But
Since it's been out,
since it's been out, I got in early, and it was phenomenal tool for me. And I can go into that and how agents who are leveraging it leverage it. And then I got into Claude this summer, focusing on Claude from a workflow perspective. And conceptually, and I was literally tutored by a certified Claude trainer who runs his business off of Claude, automated. I got an email from him today. It wasn't from him, it was from his AI assistant. And I had so much thrown at me, I couldn't grasp it all. So I decided to do what I do best, which is take it slow and steady and not over conceptualize it, but actually do it time on task. And I'm the type of person that the more I practice on something, the more I'll use it. And I'm pretty good. I'm very good at maximizing what I know. I may not know all the tools out there, but the tools I do know, I squeeze the juice out of them. Okay. And so that's where I stand with this. I was on a call earlier with back office professionals on a team and said, y'all all have to get in the game of learning at your pace and for your role how AI can help you. You have to be asking that question. How can it help me? And use AI to tell it, to ask it how it can help you with your specific responsibilities in your role. And you will be, if you don't do that, going to be obsolete very quick.
Are you finding that are you coming across pushback? Are there people who are really skeptical about it in the macrocosm of things and therefore don't want to? Are you finding that people don't really know how to use it or how to query it properly, how to prompt it, I think would be the right vernacular? Is like what kind of a reaction
I think
do you
all
get
of the
initially?
above. I think
Yeah.
the first reaction is, particularly in real estate, which is a sales focused industry, a people oriented industry.
Hmm.
It attracts more people who are people oriented
Yeah.
than people who are technology oriented or numbers oriented or even detailed oriented, even though it's a contract industry. There's a lot of sloppiness by a lot of people in real estate. It's not a value judgment, it's just an assessment. Um, so the first is, oh my gosh, I got to learn something new. Welcome to
Yeah.
the digital age.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all are constantly learning. Some of us think that, I thought when I went to the Wharton Business School that that's all I needed to know. And then it's like, no, they just told you what you were going to need to learn for the next 50 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Even us
and
old dogs need to learn new tricks along the way.
well, and what we find is that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have a thirst for learning, you are going to be better off than someone who may be more naturally talented or brighter naturally, but but outdated, a know-it-all that knows nothing, because the world is changing so quickly, specifically from an AI perspective. And so the first pushback is, oh, fear of learning something new. Okay. Well, the only way to break through that fear, and from my experience, is you just got to dive in. And that's what I've been doing with Claude, just diving in. It's like, okay, I'm not going to delete everything on my computer if I just
Right.
do things. And so, it's
So
practice, time on task. And, um, and then the second, I think, component of it is, well, how can I actually use it? Because for my job, for my specific task, because the one thing that has already happened, which is always is a challenge in real estate for team leaders, is some people get intellectually lazy. They'll come to work every day, they'll give you more hours, but they won't push themselves intellectually, either because of lack of confidence or lack of discipline, mental discipline, um, all of the above reasons. But I've always told people, and I tell people, I'm on calls every day with real estate people on Friday afternoon. When I'm fried, and most people in real estate are in general in any industry
yeah.
are going to be exhausted Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whenever you call it quits. I always say to myself every week, I can't work any harder. How am I going to work smarter? I got to work smarter next week. I'm not sure everybody is doing that. Okay.
Let me
Asking,
let me
asking
yeah.
themselves, how are they going to work smarter next week? And now we have a tool, AI tools that will allow all of us to work smarter next week.
It
You know,
I too am using it in content creation in a variety of things, and it really is mind blowing to be able to converse and have intellectual discourse with this tool. I want to just back up a second. You mentioned Chat GPT, you mentioned Claude. There are many other LLMs
right?
out there. Those are probably the two most popular. I haven't really looked at the stats, but
Yeah.
certainly top five. So before we get into a little bit further down the road of what you're saying, what did you find Chat GPT was doing well for you, and why over to Claude? Like what? Because I think folks who haven't really like taken the deep dive yet don't understand that there are subtle nuances of LLMs that work better or differently than others. So why don't you
Yeah.
just touch base
Well,
on that
just from
first?
my experience, I didn't know about Claude, the workflow component to it. And chat helps me um, write documents. It helps me react to emails. When I write an email, I say, how is the client going to respond to this, or the person on the other end? Oh, I think you need to tone it down. I think, they could misconstrue this. So it's a sounding board. I've always said to myself, man, I wish I just had another clone of myself. Well, it's better because it's smarter than I am and better than I am. So I'm learning, I've got a sounding board
Yeah.
with it. So that's how I have been using it for chat for the last several years. And I feel like it's helped me tremendously be more strategic and thinking and
Yeah.
presenting,
Yeah.
not less worried about how I'm going to say something to make sure I got all the points. It will help with a framing something.
Yes.
I never take it at face value because it's my voice. So I will tweak it. Um, I've gotten into not arguments, but with other people said, well, chat said this. I said, I don't care what chat says. Uh, I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
trust my judgment
Yeah.
over
Mhm.
chat. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, and when I know the situation, if I don't know the situation, I would trust AI over my ignorance, but, but I'd still make the final judgment because I'm still accountable for it. And so
Yes.
it's just a tool. It's not a substitute.
That's
Um,
right.
even the AI generated assistant email that I got today, the person who set it up is still accountable for that message coming on behalf of themselves, even if it was automated.
Hmm.
So what I'm finding with Claude is that for workflow issues, which we could go into what does workflow issues mean, um, it's has capability that a chat doesn't have.
Hmm.
I still use chat because for whatever reasons, which I don't know, on simple things, chat is a lot faster.
Hmm.
And so I don't need Claude to when I want to tighten up a sentence,
Mm.
because I don't want it on two lines. I want that bullet point on one line so it doesn't wrap around. A Claude
Hmm.
will get it back to me in a millisecond before I can scroll down to see it. It's already done it. For some reason Claude is overthinking it. So I still use both. So when I know it's very doable question, I just don't know the answer, I'm going into Claude. And I'm going into Chat GPT. And when I'm doing a workflow, uh, which we'll get into, as we mentioned, with my
Hmm.
emails or documents,
Yeah.
consolidating, pulling things out, I will use Claude over Chat.
I think there's one more. There's one more in this group that's worth mentioning. I find when I'm just what used to be called Googling something. I
Right.
think we still do, but it's that's. I don't know if you've been on
Just
Google.
search engine. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you've been on Google lately, but I think they're clearly pushing people to use AI moving forward because I'm finding really, really inconsistent kinds of results coming from Google these days. But that's another podcast. Um, I go to Google, and and they have Gemini, and that's their AI engine.
Right.
So things that are not particularly personal to me in my personal workflow, and I'm just using it like a search engine. Gemini is fast and quick and gets me right to results I need. But I never, but that serves that and only that purpose. It is my kind of search engine replacement versus Chat and Claude. Are more like it gets to know you, and that's part of
That's right.
its power, and it gets to understand how you write and how you speak and what you're working on. So there's a retention there that I don't use Gemini for. That's just a give me a quick factoid. So getting back to the workflow question, if we're ready to
Yes.
go there, like what if you were at one of your clients' offices right now and we're having a one-on-one with an agent who was maybe they're interested but don't even know how it's going to help them. How could you framework something for us as far as how
Yes,
you might
I think
suggest?
I think the first workflow priority or stepping stone, which I'm doing for myself, is leveraging your emails, or my emails, your emails better. The data, I've got 40,000 emails in my inbox. Somebody else may have 100,000. The document, managing that and managing documents
Mm-hmm.
better. Um, I, where in the analog world, am very organized. I got a little lazy in the digital world because I know I could always search for something. So if I can search for it, why do I need to put it in a folder? I can search for it, as long as I'm using the same file structure or the
Yeah.
same name of the document
Naming conventions. Yeah.
in naming conventions.
Yeah.
But what Claude can do is go into not only sorting email and putting it into different buckets and folders, but it can review all the documents for a particular project and say, give me a summary of everything that I've recommended. Then I can build a workflow. Well, who's going to act on those recommendations? What's the deadline for the recommendation? So a project workflow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I built something the last 2 weeks that we used to use Microsoft projects for
Mm-hmm.
to build something like that. And I don't need Microsoft projects. I did it on my own computer with Claude, going through files, files that I've sent to people. So if you say, well, what does that mean for an agent? It means for an agent is you get a lot of emails every day. You can sort through it. You can have a summary of your emails, the ones you completed, you didn't complete on, specific task. And you can also go back with clients. You've got, Mr. Jones, and you're not sure of all the correspondence you've had with him. You're not sure if you followed up on everything. So, you can go back and say, find me everything about 10 Main Street with Mr. Jones, the discussion. I need to follow up. What have I not followed up? I mean, anything you can think of that's somewhere in your files, but you just don't know where it is, a Claude can help you find that and do an assessment and analysis of it. And I find that um, not just, oh, that's a neat thing to know, but I'm never going to use it. Uh, you know, no, that's a very practical tool that as soon as I learned it, the next day, as soon as I learned about it, still learning, but as soon as I learned about that concept, um, I'm using it every day now.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm leveraging uh, financial modeling uh, for real estate better than I was before.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what is our margin on listings versus our margins on buyers? You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, the things that agents are more uh, less knowledgeable about their own
Mm-hmm.
financials, their own metrics. Uh, it can analyze metrics a lot. First of all, just
Mm-hmm.
analyze metrics. If you've got
Mm-hmm.
the data, it will analyze it for you. You just
Mm-hmm.
ask the question, it will help give you the answer. These things are very powerful when you're making a presentation to a client for
Mm-hmm.
for business development.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it could be a visual presentation, but just a verbal presentation, just having the talking points tighter,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and being able to express the competitiveness that you offer over your other competitors
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's more succinct. You can go compare your stats to somebody else's stats and say, okay, well, how would I package this in a discussion?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this is not what MIT tech people or Silicon Valley tech people are talking about. You're
Mm-hmm.
talking about much more sophisticated, I'm not in that world.
Yeah.
I'm in a day-to-day
Yeah.
working world where I have deadlines to do
Yeah.
every day. And I want two things to happen. And I don't know why anybody else wouldn't want the same two things to happen. I want a better quality work product. I want to be more effective in my communication, more effective in my strategy, more effective in my messaging
Mm-hmm.
uh, to to my
Right.
client or to
Right.
my colleague,
Right.
right? And I'd like to do it in less time than I did a week ago or a month ago or 6 months ago. So it's not just time saving, it's value add.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, and I just want to pick up on it and get even a little more granular, like where the rubber meets the road. How, for example, I'm an agent and I'm handling a property. How does the tool? How could you specifically leverage the tool for a site specific or property specific, engagement you're involved with beyond some of the larger kind of concepts that we were just talking about?
Just on file structure, just setting up folders uh, where, you don't have an assistant or you don't have confidence in your assistant, so they're not very well organized, and and you're not the most organized person if you're not. I'm saying if one isn't,
No,
but
no,
you
you could
have
say
it
I am not the most organized, so fair
clearly
enough.
in your mind. You go, well, I want a folder for the contract.
Yeah,
I want a folder for inspections. I want a folder for photography. I want a folder for the
yeah.
brochures. I want a folder for the offers. You go through your uh, uh, fundamental buckets of a transaction, and you have it in that folder. Uh,
I'm curious. When you use AI, do you do you use speech recognition or do you type?
I, I have done both. I uh, personally, I prefer to type
Hmm.
rather than to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but most of the people who are more advanced than me say, "Oh, you stop the typing, uh, just talk." Um, I have more clarity of my thoughts when I'm typing
Mm-hmm.
than just free form talking. Okay, and so when I'm talking, uh, well, let me reverse. When I'm typing, I can see what I'm saying. And now you can still see it when you're talking. I mean, it's transcribing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just by habit of being
Yeah.
on a computer all day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm typing. Uh, I know that a lot of people like to just do the verbal transcription
Mm-hmm.
and say, Claude, I have an idea, or Chad,
Yeah.
I got an idea,
Yeah.
or please do this and tell so and so to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's no different on a practical basis when we in our parents' age, where our parents may have used a dictation device
Right.
versus sending an email. Okay.
Yeah.
I would have still sent the email and not used the dictation
Yeah.
advice. The recording that you would send to your
Yeah.
assistant
Right. Right.
to do things. I just send them an
Right.
email or write them a note. It's
Yeah. Right. Right.
preference. It's preference, and I
Yeah.
haven't been. I'm not convinced yet that there's some value add of talking over typing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I don't know an answer to this, and it's just just
I'm not there yet.
spontaneous. Yeah, and it's interesting because there's so much kind of intertwined here with how we work in general. And so, of course,
That's right.
historically, all we've done is type. But as part of this is because the text recognition is so instantaneous now, which it wasn't even 5 years ago. I mean, it's improved
That's right.
dramatically really since AI came out. So that's another element to this that is just, it is part of, I think, what you're probably coming across also with agents and how they like to work. I discovered recently that um, it I can't, for example, um, upload an audio track or an audio file. I can speak because it can transcribe. It can't transcribe the audio file. Claude specifically, I use Claude pretty much, completely. So there are parts of this tech that I think there's still more to come, and we're definitely in the early
Absolutely.
stages of it. And but it's changing very, very quickly.
I can imagine at some point it's going to go from what you say to what you type to what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And so you could work while you're sleeping if you're thinking while you're asleep. Who knows where it's going to go?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm more of a pragmatist that says, how can I use it to help me work smarter next week?
Right.
Because I can't work any harder. And I'm trying to work smarter and to produce a better deliverable to my colleagues and clients,
Mm-hmm.
which I believe it's helped me tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people's concerns with this, particularly with young people, is that it's not going to help them with critical thinking because it's doing all the work for them. I don't find that to be the case for me. I find that my critical
Mm-hmm.
thinking is actually better, is improving, because it's forcing me to be more strategic
Yes.
and how I package and position things because the heavy lifting is less difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I have more energy to focus on
Mm-hmm.
the effectiveness, the tone, the tenor of the message.
Mm-hmm.
Did I cover everything that I wanted to cover? I can't tell you how many times in both Claude and chat I say, what am I missing?
Mm-hmm.
What else? You know, do I get
Mm-hmm.
frustrated with it when I say, what am I missing? And then I add it, and then I say, what am I missing? And it lists other things. And it's like, well, why didn't you tell me that the first time? You're supposed
Yeah.
to know it. But
Yeah.
but the fact is that I don't accept everything that it says when I ask it what's missing.
Right.
Most of the time, I'll take if it says here's 5 suggestions. I may only take one or two, but I appreciate no different than a human when you say, "Well, what do you think of this?" and they raise an issue, and I'll say, "Thanks, I appreciate it." I'm not going. I'm not going down that path, but you've just made me more confident of the path I do want to go down, and I'm
Right.
willing to take that bet.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I have to own it. Uh, it's I'm not putting chat's name on the document. I'm putting my
Right.
name.
I've noticed that on occasion I write something or I say something and I'm not even aware of um the lack of clarity. Maybe I'm and so chat will respond kind of in a way that I didn't even intend the question, which is very revealing because I think what you're getting at and what's really important with this as a tool is it's incumbent upon us, the user, to make sure we're approaching it with a sense of clarity and insight and experience to get the best out of it. If we put
That's right.
something, it's an old expression in content creation, garbage in, garbage out.
That's
Unless
right.
you're really particular about how you're engaging it, you're not going to get the most efficient results.
That's right. And in real estate, people have past client management, new client development, transactions. You're on a transaction to leverage it, and organizational, administrative, back office issues. Even if you're a solopreneur, your back office, your filing system,
Yeah.
paying bills, et cetera, et cetera. So you have to separate these components. How do I'm going to use it to manage my past clients? How am I going to use it to help with my business development and new clients, of which social media would be, a component of it. I'm in the middle of a deal. How do I help? How does it help me with the transaction that I'm working on? And how does it help me? How can I leverage it to help me run my practice, my business, whether I'm running a big team or I'm a solo agent or just a small boutique uh, rainmaker with support staff and maybe a buyer associate. Um, my strong suggestion is people have to break it down into those components and get a win or small wins at each one to then go to the next level and then go to the next level. Um, it's uh, you you have to know what problems you're solving. It's not just a technical thing to do. So some college kid, unless they're a programmer, okay, if they don't know your industry, they can't help you because they don't know what problems there are in the
Right.
industry to use the tool to to solve the industry problems that you have. So if you know where your pain points are, and if you have a vision of how it could be easier, but you don't know how to get from A to Z, we can help you
Yeah.
get between from A to Z. You got to know what A is and what your pain points are. People have different pain points. Some are common, but some are unique, depending on the size, your solo, boutique, big team. And you have a vision of how you would like to mitigate the pain. Why do I have to do this? Wish I could do that. Whether you're professional staff on a team or you're the team lead, and practice professionals who are using this every day can help you get there. So you don't have to worry about the mechanics of getting there. You just have to know what your pain is and have to know what your vision is. To me, those are the two most fundamental things that have to be defined and clarified. And then now I would say that before AI, that's what I would do with people when I come in and help them run their operations better. I say, hey, what's your pain? And where do you want to go with your business? What's your personal, professional, excuse me, financial goals? I'm going to help you do that. Well, today I'm going to help them do that better and faster by leveraging AI, but I still have to ask the same questions. They still have to give the same amount of thought to it.
Yeah.
AI does not going to tell you what makes you happy in life, what your financial goals are, and what your professional goals are. That's up to the individual to do that. So it's not replacing, it's enhancing.
Yeah.
And if people do what they own, then the tool becomes very powerful. If you don't have a sense of what your goals are for your business, it's just another tool.
Yeah.
Another tool.
Yeah.
That's not going to be utilized because you don't know what you want to do. So you're still on the hook, agents, for having a clarity of what your personal, professional, financial goals are. It can help you get there by helping you streamline certain components of your business. As we said, business development, transactions, back office operations. And that's where we are today in small service businesses. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about going to the moon with this stuff. It's irrelevant to real estate. You have to come back down to earth and be practical,
Mm-hmm.
but no differently than when we were all learning how to use
Right.
phones from the BlackBerry to a smartphone, one step at a time, one application at a time. And, today many of us don't know how we lived without it.
Yeah. Right. And even defining those pain points. I mean, you can still start with AI. Conversationally, you can, AI can help you see. The interesting thing about AI is there's no ego, there's no agenda, assumedly. And it really is, like you mentioned earlier, a sounding board. So if
Right.
I didn't even know what my pain point was, but I knew I was feeling frustrated, it's even an opportunity to help kind of, discern what the issues are. And then it can help to, create systems and suggestions about how to remedy that. But it's first and foremost really a conversational tool that allows you to process your own thinking in a way without judgment. As a matter of fact,
That's right.
the opposite of judgment, I think, more often than not, it kind of tends to, flatter a little bit more sometimes than it should. I come across that. I don't know if you do,
Yeah,
but
I do.
yeah, it's one of the nuances of it. It's like, hey, tone down the, you know, and it's interesting too. I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's like, how do you address it? That's been something that's come up. It's like, can you do this for me? And there's a personification there. I'm getting a little esoteric now,
Well, I'm
but
getting
it's
better.
interesting.
I've gotten burned a few times, and um, I will say to it, I only want you to do this. Do not change anything else.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
do not make up anything.
Mm-hmm.
Can you prove to me can you show me where you got the numbers from?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't make up things. I don't want you to assume anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying all that because it does do that.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
both services will do that.
Yeah.
They will make assumptions.
Yeah.
"Oh, how'd you get this number? I didn't give you this number.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I extrapolated it, but I
Yeah.
didn't ask you to extrapolate it. This is
Yeah.
what I need."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you have to make sure that when you're editing something, it's not changing something else that you didn't ask to change. And then you get blindsided later that it made a change and you didn't even know it because you didn't ask it to make a change,
Mm-hmm.
but it did.
Mm-hmm.
So these are, it's learning, but we have to learn also, and we have to manage it at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and be aware of its capabilities and its constraints. One of the things that I stress when I'm doing when I'm working with teams on workflow is that if you can save 5 or 10 minutes on one task within one transaction, normally people think it's not worth it. Therefore, they don't try to make it more efficient for just to save 5 or 10 minutes. But if you're doing 10, 20, 40, 80, 160 transactions, and you save 5 to 10 minutes, if you save 10 minutes on one task and you have 50 tasks, that adds up big time. And what it does is, particularly for larger teams where you're doing 100 plus transactions, it keeps you from burning out, because a burnout is not just, oh, I'm working too hard. No, that's being tired. You work a lot. I love what I do. Am I tired? Yeah. Do I have to rest? Yes. Burnout is more frustration that I don't like what I'm doing or I don't like how we're doing it. And this is stupid. Even if I don't know the answer, that's why I'm getting frustrated. Well,
Mm-hmm.
generally that happens from what I've seen, and I focus a lot on it when people are tired, legitimately tired, and they're coming home or going back to the office after being out in the field. and working on something that, not that it doesn't need to be done, but how they're doing it is just so frustrating. Okay. Like your computer crashes right when you need it, something, or you can't get something to work. Or the internet goes down on you, things like that. That's when people get really frustrated and it becomes a spiral. It just, they get irritable and frustrated, and then more tired, more irritable, more frustrated. So the more efficient we all can be, saving 5 minutes here and there by using chat, by using Claude, it adds up. Um, you know, and the more we can automate things, it's going to be to our benefit. Um, we already are doing a lot of this in more simpler forms. If we're going to have a meeting once a week, we just put a recurring meeting in instead of setting up the meeting every week.
Right.
We're already been trained to do a lot of simplistic working smarter. Now we have the opportunity to work smarter 100x, 1000x times. And so the people who are going to benefit from this the most, because everybody has equal access to it, are the people who are asking the right questions from the onset. It's all, like you said, it's garbage in, garbage out. If I don't ask a good question, if I don't ask a follow-up question, then it's a very little value.
Yeah.
The value is prodding it. Well, what about this? What am I missing? Or what if they do this? Or what about that scenario? What about this scenario? Those are questions. And those who can ask great questions, critical thinking questions, are going to be better off. The answers, which are part of hopefully a solution to whatever problem you're solving for whomever you're trying to solve it for, you've got a better shot at being more effective with Claude or Chat or any of the other tools. But again, it's not replacing you. You've got to take your game of critical thinking and questioning to a higher level. And I think that's the biggest misnomer of AI, of what people are selling or pushing it. I can do this. You don't have to do anything. You can do this, you don't do that. No, you still have to think, because the more you're thinking and asking tough, critical questions to whatever aspect of the business of real estate you're doing or anything else, the better feedback you're going to get from any service.
Yeah, you still have to bring your own real world experiences to it, which is
That's absolutely right.
As you said, it's not a replacement. It can't be a replacement insofar as it's only humans who have the real world experience that are prompting it in the first place.
That's right. And humans have the judgment and the responsibility to make the final decision on the input that it gives us. So that's it's a lot for one day on AI, Paul.
Yeah, I think we have a lot here. Thank you, Jonathan, for another great episode. We'll see you again really soon on ROI BizTalk.